Hello, guys. Welcome back to my show, Get Real with Jasmin. So, I didn't plan on recording today, but then suddenly I was like, okay, I feel quite inspired, so let's do it. So, if this is your first time to my show, this is a channel about personal growth, self development, and I recently moved to Dubai, so there will probably be a lot of stories about what's happening here. But so before I moved to Dubai, I had this lunch slash dinner slash afternoon tea with my parents and also my brother. And it's just like I feel like this is also like a old people thing when you just start talking about like the things in the past. I don't know if you guys do that as well. But then I don't remember why, but me and my brother, we start talking about our high school lives, which, by the way, we went to the same junior high and senior high school. And went to like a private school, which is like very, very strict and very academic focused. Like at that point, if you live in the same area where I live, and when people hear about that you went to that high school, they will be like, wow, very strict. Like it's so famous for being strict that I remember at that time we are not allowed to have like our hair longer than our shoulder. And also like all the guys have like buzz cut. Like everybody looks hilarious actually. Like if I look back like the photos that I took back in high school, it's funny. Everybody looks the same. And I don't remember how, but somehow this came out in the conversation that I told my parents that I was being hit by my teacher when I was in high school, which is around maybe 13. And I was very surprised that they didn't know about this at all because I graduated for such a long time. So I was surprised that I never told them about this, which I'm like totally fine now because it's been so many years. But I was surprised like my father was actually very, very pissed. He was angry, like he was like, I don't even hit my own child. How dare your teacher hit you? And yeah, and then my mother looked at me and she said, so why did you never tell us about this? And I said, like, because I was so ashamed that this happened. And when I was telling her about this, actually in my mind, I had this realization that why should I be ashamed? Because I got hit in front of the whole class because I messed up my math exam. And I remember at that time I got like 88 out of 100, and my teacher was like, "Oh, those who scored below 90 just go in front of the class," and then everybody got hit. So I remember there were like 3 students, and I was one of them, and I was deeply ashamed of that at that time. First of all, because I feel like I really fucked up, and second of all, I got hit in front of the whole class, so everybody was looking at me, and that for me was such a big deal. But then when I was telling this story to my mom again, I was like, why should I be ashamed? There's nothing for me to be ashamed of. Like, so that really got me thinking, like, how many times in our life where we feel ashamed and it was just so unnecessary that we don't really have to feel that way. And so right now I want you to think about your moment in your life that when you feel so ashamed, and is it actually necessary? Did you really do something wrong? Or is it because of other people's reaction or how other people treat you that makes you feel ashamed? And I think it's very important for us to look back these moments where we feel ashamed, because I know it's definitely painful moments to revisit, but these moments are what shaped who we are today. Because if you don't face that feeling of shame, before you know, you become someone who is so afraid of making mistakes, taking actions. You became someone who is terrified of how others perceive you. Like for me, it wasn't just a one time thing of me being hit in front of the whole class. It wasn't just a one time thing. It's years of education system, environment, society, like where I grow up in, that makes me a socially recognized good girl, where I follow rules, I follow the crowds, I follow whatever the adults told me because I was terrified. I was terrified of making mistakes again. And that feeling of shame could be so small could seem so unimportant in the beginning, but because we don't deal with it, and before we know, we become someone who is so afraid of asking questions because somebody laughed at your questions, somebody said your questions are so stupid, or we became someone who took hundreds of photos just to choose the perfect one for on Instagram just because someone said you're ugly back in high school, or you deleted your profile on dating apps just because somebody judged you for that. But aren't these all unnecessary shame that we are carrying now because of all these moments that you feel ashamed in the past and you didn't deal with it at the first place? So when things happen again, you start assuming that the same thing will happen again, that people will laugh at you again, people will judge you again, and it stops you from taking actions. Like, for example, you stop pitching ideas in the meeting when you grow up because somebody laughed at you back in high school. But what a shame, guys. What a shame for letting these high school bullies or some guy you dated or some random people on the street to stop you from what you want to do, to stop you from pursuing your dream. Because what if you pitch a terrible ideas in the meeting? What if your ideas are stupid? Like, is your company gonna fire you for this? I don't think so. But because you are so scared of getting laughed at, because you carry these trauma from your past, that you didn't say anything and you miss out on the opportunity of your potential promotion, or because you're so scared of people judging you on dating apps, so you deleted your profile on whatever platform you use, and you miss out on opportunities for meeting that potential partner, or because you are so scared that people is going to think you are too much, too needy, that you didn't even reach out to that old friends and you miss out on the opportunities for that lifelong friendship. So like, I hope that these examples are enough for you to realize that the shame that you're carrying from the past, it literally does no benefit to you and to your lives, but instead it creates like a mental prison to stop you from doing what you want to do, to stop you from even trying, and it is just so unnecessary. And that's why I really want you guys to think about the moments in your life where you feel ashamed, because these things, you can't really just treat it as a one time thing and move on with your life. You really need to ask yourself, why do I feel ashamed? What is it that he said or they said about me? What is the trigger? Because chances are your feeling of shame is reflecting what you believe in, is reflecting your value. Because for me, I do believe that it is unforgivable to fucked up my math exam. That's why I covered it up when it happened. I didn't tell my parents, because if I do believe that it is nothing to be ashamed of, I would have just told my mom, hey, my teacher hit me in front of the whole class because I fucked up my math exam. But instead I didn't do that. I didn't say anything. And same, like, you think like it's such a shameful thing to suffer from mental illness. That's why you feel ashamed when people laugh at you for taking a mental health break. Or you think like it is a shameful thing to grow up from a poor family. That's why you feel ashamed when people make fun of your financial status. See, like, this is what you believe in. Because if you don't think like what people say about you is true, you wouldn't feel a thing at all. You wouldn't feel ashamed of that. So you really have to ask yourself, why is this triggering? Why do I feel ashamed about that? And then you can try to fix the problem. Because for me, I started to fix the problem after realizing that, oh, actually, there is nothing to be ashamed of when you make mistakes. It's just normal. It's part of the process. And yeah, same for you. You have to really understand, okay, there's nothing wrong with me prioritizing my mental health. There's nothing wrong of growing up poor. So when people laugh at you or when people judge you for being poor or like suffering from mental illness, you can be like, hey, what is wrong for being poor? You know, I didn't choose my family. I didn't choose the way I grow up. What is it to be ashamed of? Like, I know that I work very hard right now. I know that the number on my bank account doesn't reflect my value. So what is it to be ashamed of? Or I know that it is not wrong to prioritize my mental health. It's not wrong to prioritize myself. So what is wrong of taking a mental health break? But you really need to know your value in order to not feel a thing when people judge you for that. So what I want to say is that once you know who you are, once you know your value, then nobody can ever touch you again. Nobody can ever make you feel ashamed again. That's what you notice. People that are really confident of themselves, people that are actually comfortable of being who they are, they don't care. They defend themselves when they are being disrespected, when the line is crossed. But after that, they move on. They still act like who they are right now. They still say whatever they want in the meeting. They still go out there and make mistakes. They still go out there and express their true feelings to other people, because you cannot hurt them because they know their value. So when people humiliate them, for example, when people say you are too much, they can be like, yeah, I know I'm very emotional. I know who I am. I know I'm not too much. I know I'm just simply being who I am. And when people laugh at them, like, you are so bad at this, you're bad at that, or you fucked up something, they will be like, yeah, I fucked up. I know I'm bad at this. So what do you want? But you cannot offend them by saying that, or you cannot make them feel ashamed by saying that. The point is really not about like being so perfect or never making mistakes. The point is about knowing your advantage, knowing your disadvantage, knowing who you are, knowing your value, because you can be the most perfect person in the world, but not knowing that. And people can still touch you easily because you don't know who you are. You don't know what people say about you is true or not. And I think the next thing I want you to know is that when people disrespect you or humiliate you, it says more about them than you. Like, you can have the lowest self-esteem. You can have absolute no idea about your self-value. It still doesn't justify people for disrespecting you, for trying to shame you. It's like, if you go out of your house without locking the door, it doesn't justify people for coming to your house and just rob you. So why would you think that it's your fault for people disrespecting you? Like, I used to judge myself for being that. Like, I used to judge myself when people disrespect me. I would be like, maybe I was too needy. Maybe I was too much. But what is wrong for being too much even? Like, even I'm too much, it still doesn't justify you for hurting me like that, for saying hurtful things to me. And when people disrespect you or humiliate you, it's because they are insecure. People that are confident or content with their life don't just go out there and judge others because they are so busy enjoying their life. Why would they give a shit about you? But look at those people that are actually judging others or laughing at others all the time. Have a look what they are doing with their lives. They are acting so cool, so nonchalant that they don't want anything in life, just to hide the fact that they are embarrassed and they don't know what they want to do in their life, that they are a lazy piece of shit. That's why they laugh at you, because you trigger something in them and they feel uncomfortable about this. So brush it off when people shame you, when people make you feel bad about yourself, because they are the one that is wrong, not you. But don't you dare let them to stop you from doing what you want to do, to stop you from pursuing your dreams, because it's just so unworthy. So go ahead to pitch out ideas in the meeting. Go ahead to show your emotions to others. Go ahead and, I don't know, do whatever you want. And like, the last thing I want to talk about is a recent conversation I had with my friend. So she is also the one that grew up in the same environment as I do, that we are like being judged all the time and we are always punished by making mistakes. And she told me that she really want to like wear really beautiful clothes at work, but she's so scared of how her coworkers think that people might think she's so extra, she's doing too much at work. Why would she do that? And I told her that, hi, say, does these things actually happen? Did your coworker actually come to you and be like, hey, you shouldn't dress up at work? No, it didn't happen, right? They didn't say anything so far. Second of all, say if your coworkers actually judge you and laugh at you for dressing up at work, why should you feel bad about that? Why is it to be ashamed of? What is wrong for wanting to look pretty at work? What is wrong with that? And if they actually laugh at you, it says more about your coworkers than you. And so you don't need to be ashamed of that. And guess what, guys? She did dress up and wear a very, very beautiful dress and wear very beautiful makeup. And nobody says anything. And she felt happy and proud of herself. And see, like, the fear you have most of the time is just in your head. It lots of time came from the trauma that you carry from the past. But if you actually looked at it, you'll see that it's not even scary anymore. When you try to break down your fear into piece by piece, you'll see that it's all in your head. So I challenge you today to do one thing that you've been wanting to do, but you are scared. I don't know what reason it is. And then we can talk about if that fear is actually true or not. And thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast today. And I really hope that after today's episode that you will never feel ashamed again. Or even if you do, you're in a better position to spot your own thoughts and be like, no, this is nothing to be ashamed of. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm allowed to try new things. I'm allowed to do things that I want to do. And if you like today's podcast, please leave a 5-star review, share with your friends, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye now.